Hey guys, in the shop this morning we've got a KTM890, very popular bike amongst the adventurers out there. The adventure market is booming in Australia at the moment, and certainly the 890, 790 very popular. This bike, I've taken it for a run this morning, and the front's got a few control issues. This has got the Explore fork on it. The Explore fork's not the greatest fork out there. Does require some additional hardware, and with some simple changes we can get this thing working just as good as any fork. Now with the shock on this, the shock has everything that we need. It's got hydraulic preload, which is very useful for loading the bike up. Makes for simple adjustments, high and low speed compression adjustment on this, rebound adjustment. This shock is over damped in its current state, and when you push on it, it's actually quite slow. I'd like that to be a lot more responsive, so you can feel that out on the road and out on the track. And so what we're going to be doing, we'll pull these components out, we'll get them out on the bench, and we'll run over what hardware changes we're going to make. But by this afternoon, this will be a much better bike. Okay, so here we are at the workbench. We've got our KTM890 gear apart. Our shock absorber is a fairly conventional shock absorber. It is a PDS system, so we have two pistons. The PDS system basically engages later on in the travel to provide some sort of progression in the damping. But apart from that, everything else is very straightforward. So what we're going to be doing is adjusting the shim stack on this to give us the damping outcomes that we want. We're also going to be putting an aftermarket reservoir on this system, so we'll incorporate the bladder in there. That'll give us much better small bump compliance, much better grip at the rear. It's in the forks where we're going to do the bulk of the work. Now, the forks in these, once again, they're an asymmetric fork. We have compression one leg, rebound the other. With the rebound leg, it's very conventional, a standard sort of setup. We have our rebound valve basically on the end of the damper rod. Normal sort of rebound valving on here. We have a little bit of mid valving on here as well. And at the base of the fork, we have our compression valve. Now, it's in the compression leg where things get really interesting. So with our compression leg, we have this little mechanism here, and it basically provides us adjustability, but it doesn't give us a whole lot of damping control. Now this effectively works like an engine valve onto a seat, and as you make your compression adjustment, it's basically controlling the clearance between that valve and the seat to regulate the amount of compression damping that we get. Unfortunately, with this particular cartridge, okay, you can see all these vent holes at the top, and what will happen is oil will exhaust out of there both on the compression and the rebound stroke, and it's very difficult to control the fluid volume, and so cavitation will always occur in this particular arrangement. And so what we do is we take the rebound leg and we can look at this and go, well, this is a very sound system. So basically, we've got an aftermarket kit here called a Schaefer kit. The Schaefer kit is identical to the K-Tech kit, Racetech kit, Del Soggio, all of them kits that work on the same principle. And effectively what we're going to do is we're going to screw this top onto this cartridge, and then we'll have solid fluid movement within this cartridge, and we will virtually eliminate the chances of cavitation. We're going to take our mechanism, and we'll replace the compression arrangement. That will screw onto here, and we've got aftermarket valves which are actually going to screw on here, and we'll get better rebound control. We can create a mid valve in here once again, and we're going to get rid of these valves, and we're actually going to put better valves in the system, and that'll allow us to give us the best compression outcome, the best rebound outcome. We've got very good settings for the KTM, and by the time we're finished, this will be a much nicer ride. We do have to make extreme hardware changes, but much better than replacing the whole cartridge. We've already got 90% of what we need here, so all we're doing is adding that extra 10%. We don't need to throw the baby out with the bathwater, and by putting this Schaefer kit in here, very economical upgrade, and it's the best bang for buck that you will find. So many kits out there. This is our choice for this particular bike, and I'll challenge you to come up with something better for us. Okay, right out, wait and see. The outcome is awesome with this. Okay, so here we are. We put the bike back together. I've taken it for a test ride and just done the final tune, just to make sure that it's steering and it's braking well, and as well as that, we want it managing the bumps as good as it can possibly do. And so, as I said, this is the best bang for buck upgrade. The Schaefer kit in the forks, revalve, basically make sure you got the correct springs, and a lot of people are dropping $9,000 buying aftermarket suspension, and you'll be very surprised, well I would be very surprised if they were able to beat this setup. But Chris is just back from his ride, and how'd you go?
Mate, amazing transformation on the bike. You know, it was always something on the back of my mind, you know, wondering, can this be better? Is this, you know, it's a lot of money for a bike, is this the best that it can be? Yeah. And after just a little test ride down the road, I was amazed that, you know, it feels like a road bike should handle on the road, which the bike didn't do, and just a couple of little off-road little adventures. It's sublime, and I cannot wait to get it home on some of my tracks, and just that way it'll really hit home to go how good the bike is.
You can't beat familiarity, and riding this on your own territory will be the big truth teller. And you know, like we try to get this as dialed as possible, but obviously we're working in our environment. Chris is going to take this home and be in familiar areas, and his terrain might throw up different demands, but he's, you know, service is only a phone call away, and if Chris finds that there's something that's peculiar to his track that's maybe not 100% with the bike, he can just give us a call. We'll tell him what changes to make. He can dial it in, and you're right to go.
I'll be calling you about a steering damper by the sound
steering
of it.
Damper. Yeah, the standard steering damper on this is not not that flash.
Yeah.
So if you're chasing a steering damper, you can't beat Scott's.
No.
They're the number one off-road damper in the world. So
you don't realise it until you haven't got one. They're on all my other bikes, and this one doesn't have one. That's why I asked, does this thing actually do anything? Because it doesn't feel like it.
I took the damper off my ZX12, and a ZX12 is a really, really capable bike, very, very stable. But you don't realise how many little micro movements you get. And when I put the damper back on, it basically cleaned up the ride. It's like, dampers are a magnificent insurance item, and they stop all those unwanted wheel deflections and things like that. But on a bike like this, when you're heading down dirt roads, the micro movements that you get in the bar, and you put the damper on there, and all of a sudden it's like the radio channel hasn't quite been on the station. Then and then it just cleans everything up, and the ride quality
takes fatigue out of the whole day. When you're on these bikes, you are on an adventure. I think it's written on the bike somewhere. It's an adventure bike.
Yep.
A long day, and take all those micro movements. They all add up to fatigue at the end of the day.
For sure.
And it's always at the last part of the day when you're pushing hard and you're tired. That's when it happens, and you've just ruined your day and cost yourself a lot of money.
Well,
as you said, insurance.
They always say that it's most likely you're going to have an accident 5 minutes from home. So anyway, congratulations.
Thank you very much, Terry. Thank you very much, boys,
for coming here. And another job sorted.
Very happy.